Another assessment that we're using for our students for ELA, English Language Arts, is DIBELS, now Oakland Amplified Education. And with the 8th edition, that subtends kindergarten through 8th grade. The data that you're going to see next only goes to 6th grade because the 7th and 8th grade assessments are conducted outside of technological means, and so those are good grades. Good grades kindergarten in first. You can see here from the beginning of the year, BOY, bar graph, to mid-year MOY. You once again see this upward trend where many of our students are moving up through those different proficiency grades. First grade is somewhat similar with the note that we do have one further student who has moved into that lowest grade shown right there. Following slide, we have similar reports for 2nd through 4th grade. So in each case, we are expanding the number of students that are scoring in those upper ranges. 2nd grade, we are decreasing that low end as well. With 3rd and 4th grade having an additional student and the 3 students respectively that are moving into that lower achievement. Following slide, the DIBELS shows 5th and 6th grade. So for 5th grade, we do see an upward trend for the most part here. And for 6th grade, we're seeing a similar trend, the same number of students beginning, middle year, advanced, or above level, and finishing the number of students that we currently have at the lower advanced achievement. So in order to address Act 158, the state graduation requirements, we've instituted using Smart Futures program, which is a Pennsylvania-based company out of Pittsburgh. We're partnering with them. They've been able to work with us in order to not only provide our students with educational opportunities to come to terms with their interests and their aptitudes, as well as to explore different career pathways. They've also worked with us to develop extra modules that we put into our students' profile as well in the program. We currently house our students' graduation portfolios within the Smart Futures program, so it's very simple to include a lot of the career-oriented aspects that students are working through in their portfolios. We are still at this point developing further modules to include in student portfolios in order to incorporate a focus on student map data so that they can take a stronger part of taking ownership of their own progress and growth. And they can make smart goals and plans that they can analyze after the fact in order to determine whether they are or not achieving the goals they've set for themselves as well. We'll have more news on that later. We're also instituting a career readiness course for all of our 11th graders. It's a one semester course that every 11th grader completes during that 11th grade year. The teacher of that course walks students through a number of modules in his curriculum where students are getting more or less the authentic experience that we're hoping for as far as what an interview is going to look like, as far as professional attire, professional conduct. They're exploring personal aptitudes and interests, just exploring different career pathways, learning habits and behaviors in order to achieve meaningful employment, and then identifying coursework and training to help them achieve the goals that they're setting for themselves, go through Smart Futures and the course itself. Our final slide here is just a summary of the new, the currently existing ELA and math curriculum interventions and assessments that are currently in place. This is more a summary of what we saw on the very first slide. So for grades K through 5, corresponding literacy from SOC's learning program. Grade 6 is the middle school program on perspectives. Success Maker being our intervention program for our K through 6 students through English Language Arts, grade 180 at the 17th ninth grade level. Math and Focus for grades K through 6. And then into math for grades 7 and 8, which is the progression beyond math and focus to grade levels. Math and 80 intervention grades 5 to 8. IXL is K through 12, every student taking part of that. DIBELS
Could you discuss what you would see as the root causes for some of those students at the lower end? Because there are some numbers there that are concerning,
And so
even anecdotally.
Yeah. So there are a number of factors that impact the student's trajectory. Of course, taking a look at what's happening instructionally in the classes, making sure that all the needs students are met. We know that we are battling some truancy issues with some of the students that are dropping off, and so one of the major predictors of student success is being in school. So of course, that's a very difficult challenge that all schools face. For a number of those students who are not showing the kinds of beings, we're just not having that time at task in class that we hope we need to see. There are other factors that we're measuring at this point, and of course, my research and observations are ongoing, so there's always more to find. Those are some of the patterns that we're seeing. Some of our students are not meeting the kinds of beings that we're hoping for. So definitely challenges there, but we continue to work with families in order to try to get our students where they need to be so that they can maybe gain some growth at the big age.
Would you see some of those students, can you correspond to anything like socioeconomic status or what's going on at home or, what?
There's of course the case in students who are facing issues beyond what we necessarily have to pull over in classrooms. Those certainly have an impact on the students' ability to receive the education to the best of their abilities and best of our abilities to deliver it. So those are certainly things that are impacting the students.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, next up is the hearing of visitors. I believe we have 5 visitors on the list for this evening. Before we get started, just a reminder, I think everybody probably is aware of this, but each visitor has 4 minutes to provide their questions and comments. If questions and comments are in regard to a specific school district employee, please do not use names of specific employees. Please use some sort of generic identifier rather than identifying specific employees. And I think that's all we need to cover. Development is a general reminder. We are asked to sit and respectfully listen. And our school lawyer always reminds us that we're not supposed to engage or ask questions, but we do absolutely take all of the questions and comments very seriously, and we appreciate everybody being here. Did you have something to mention, Jackie, before we get started?
Sure. I did want to say that earlier this week there was a very serious behavioral incident that occurred at Central Mountain High School that involved several minors. This incident is still under investigation, not only by the district, but also with the district attorney's office. To be respectful to students and their families, and because this is of the ongoing investigations, we will not be making any additional statements about the incident at this time.
Okay, I think first up is Michelle Whitney.
Is there a mic that I can get so I don't have to remove myself? Do you have a portable? Thank you, I appreciate it. Back here. My name is Michelle Whitney. I'm the founder of the Clinton County Watchdog Group along with Michael Remick. I'm going to read something from him that he wrote today. And this is posted on our site. It says, "The facts. The mission of the public schools is to educate our students and children. For many years, KCSD ranks near the bottom in our state in academic achievement. Boy, if this is not true. Number 45 is State College, number 213 is Jersey Shore, number 472 is Bucktail, number 475 is Central Mountain, and at the bottom of the barrel, with just a little over 600 schools in this computation, is number 507, Sugar Valley Rural Charter School. Moreover, KCSD cannot keep the students safe and does not have the will and leadership to do so. This is true as well. This information comes from the Safe Schools Report from the Pennsylvania Department of Education. State College Area High School, with a population, this is the entire district, of 6,776 students, had 47 incidents. 7 of those were fights. Jersey Shore Middle School, Jersey Shore, the entire district, the total population is 2,175 students. Incidents they had was 127. They had 1 fight. From the Safe Schools report, we have Central Mountain, we have KCSD with a total population of 3,621. We have 268 incidents, 42 of those were fights. We clearly have an issue. And more of this is coming to light. I get reports and messages every single week about bullying issues in this district and fights. And it is swept under the rug, and this is common knowledge. But the board has not approached it, and they have not controlled it. I'll continue to read what Michael Remick wrote. Moreover, KCSD is staffed by our relatives, friends, neighbors, and folks that we know. They too need to have a safe environment free from violence. Violence in unsafe schools will never yield academic achievement. Students and staff must have an educational atmosphere that is comfortable and safe, and that they can depend upon. Moreover, violence in unsafe schools will yield poor attendance of students and staff alike. I have reported to you many times of the staggering habitual truancy at KCSD. Public schools are the anchor of our communities. Growth and prosperity cannot be achieved here due to the poor reputation of our public schools. This evening, I am calling for Jackie Martin to be released from her contract due to a lack of confidence of her from students, teachers, parents, and taxpayers alike. Tonight is an opportunity for this school board to finally do what it's supposed to do. This school board governs the superintendent. They are at the top of the chain of the command. It's up to you to rectify this. It's nothing personal against Jackie Martin. It just isn't the job that we as taxpayers, students, parents, and teachers alike deserve. Thank you.
All right, next up is Brandon Devini.
My name is Brandon Devane. I'm a parent of 2 kids in this school district. And the other day talked about concerns for student safety. Our daughter was recently attacked and brutally beaten during school hours between class in the girls' restroom. We send our children to school each day with the expectation they will not only get an education, but they will be safe and protected, not just from external threats, but from the hands of their peers. Your student handbook states that as a school, you're committed to provide an environment where students feel safe and secure. Please tell me, how are you doing this? How can we be assured that our children walk through your doors, that they will be protected? That you will provide the fundamental safety they deserve when they're not at home? That is a priority for your institution to uphold the commitment stated in the student handbook. Schools have surveillance cameras to help support a safe environment. I want to know how these are being utilized, who's monitoring, and when. Are they being used as a monitoring device, as parents would expect, or are you only using them as a deterrent? In spaces where cameras are not permitted for privacy, like in a bathroom, what are the monitoring protocols to maintain safety and deter opportunities for violence and bullying? Or do you prefer to rely on the video footage that's being taken by the students when they're standing around recording children being attacked and beaten? Because that's what's happening. How does a large group of children congregate in and outside the bathroom, loud and young for a significant amount of time before adults even aware? There needs to be active monitoring in hallways by individuals and by use of cameras. This needs to not only happen during class times, but in between classes. There also needs to be a better disciplinary system in place. Upholding accountability is of the utmost importance in preventative action. Students who know no repercussions for their actions will never have a reason to stop. I've been made aware of students who have started fights, being suspended for just 3 days, and then returning to school, and on more than one occasion. Something needs to change, and the school needs to be held accountable. The school's #1 job is to keep our kids safe. Everything else should come second to that. The school has a moral and legal obligation to stop this violence and keep all of our kids safe. If you're found to do so, something needs to be done about it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Brandon. Next is Sharon. Right here.
Hi, my name's Sharon Wagner. I'm the mother of 3 kids in this district and one child that was brutally attacked. While so many stood by and did absolutely nothing about it, I know some couldn't. I understand that. While I have a lot to say about what happened, I'm not here to discuss this. I want to address lack of safety and discipline in schools. When we send our kids to this school, we count on you guys to protect them, to keep them safe. The school district website states, quote, "The safety and welfare of students is the primary concern of this district." Is it? They're not safe. My daughter was definitely not kept safe. According to your website, you have cameras, you've provided training for your staff, and you also have an incident command team. None of this prevented my daughter from being hurt, or attacked, or beaten for several minutes with no intervention. This is the second time this year it has happened to my daughter. It has happened to so many other children as well. Our kids should not be afraid to go to class. They should not be afraid to walk in halls or go to the bathroom. There are kids that do not use the bathrooms for this reason. That shouldn't happen. What is being done to prevent this from happening again is what my question is. The cameras they need to be utilized not after the incident, but during and before, as a preventative measure from this ever happening again. Staff should not be placed in the hallways after the incident happens, but before this happens again. This has been a pattern, and these bullies are waiting until things calm and the so-called security measures are gone. They're backed off, and then they start attacking the kids again. I've been told there are hall monitors who monitor the bathroom during class, but I'm also being told that the hall monitors leave before the bell rings. They don't come back until after the next class starts. Why are there not more teachers or staff in the hallways during these times, when these fights are known to happen? The teachers used to stand right outside the classroom doors until everybody came back in. Does that even happen anymore? Do these teachers care? I have been told many times the lack of supervision is due to staffing issues. I myself, as several others I have talked to, have applied at this district and have not even gotten a phone call. I want to know how you're going to keep our kids safe and what your plan is to prevent this from happening again. I mean, how do we as parents assure our children they're safe when they come through these doors? That's all I got.
Thank you. Next up is Christopher Corbin.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the school board. My name is Christopher Corbin, and I shall begin tonight by saying this. I'm truly honored to be allowed to speak before such wise and honorable individuals. It is this wisdom and honor that enables me to hope that you shall appreciate what I say. And what I say is this: the issues found within our schools have gotten out of hand, and profound change is the necessary solution to this serious problem. This week, a freshman was beaten to the point of unconsciousness. During this same week, a student got so frustrated that he punched his fist through a window in the cafeteria. Students are constantly leaving class and roaming the halls. Drugs and tobacco are a constant problem. Fights are only shocking when an absence of them is occurring. These problems are consistent to the point that we as students and teachers, as faculty, have become desensitized to them. They are simply becoming a part of life. This is in no way a denunciation of our administration. They have put forth superhuman effort to push back against this tide of destructive behaviors. I have only respect and admiration for the men and women who occupy the Central Mountain High School's main office. However, theirs is an impossible task when one takes into account the resources they have and the situation they are in. Faculty, too, in these desperate times, are left to take on jobs far beyond their massive commitments as educators. They are zealous in their work to make CMHS a great place, but even their immense energy is expendable. Students, teachers, and administrators are slowly losing their resolve. We are becoming weary of this grinding chaos. I'm also not saying this as a student who merely wishes to complain about a school they dislike. To the contrary, I am proud to call Central Mountain my alma mater. I've been forged through it into a better and more rounded individual. I have learned new areas of learning that I love to study, and I have made relationships that will last a lifetime. I am proud to be a Wildcat. However, I am more and more becoming the minority. Central Mountain has gained a reputation for these issues, a reputation that has begun to outshine those things that I love about it, its staff, its arts, and many other things. I, for one, will not stand as the name of my school is dragged through the mud by the very real issues it faces. But these issues are too much for me, or indeed anyone, to fix. So I come not with a solution, but with a vehicle towards providing a solution. The school is made up of many groups, each with a stake in what happens in CMHS. The administration, wise in its stewardship, the faculty, the boots on the ground, the parents, whose children are being taught and influenced by it, and the students themselves, the adolescents whose future is being shaped. Each of these groups are key to the success of any solutions to the school's many issues. I come then with a suggestion. The best way to get these diverse groups to support a solution is if they have not just a voice, but an equal vote in what solution is implemented. You, the administration, cannot take into account the perspectives of these people closer to the problems. Teachers are the means through which a solution will take place. Parents are the backbone of the school community, and the students are the ones to whom these changes will take place. Tyranny without the approval of the masses is simply tyranny. Tyranny with the consent of the people is security, and we must have a more secure learning environment. But that requires giving up freedoms, in a word, tyranny. Thus, to avoid the ire of the people, and thus get an unworkable solution, allow each group to select worthy individuals, teachers, students, administrators, and parents, to meet in the committee not as advisors, but as full legislators with equal power to come up with a compromise amenable to everyone. This is radical, I know, but will lead to something we can all get to behind. And unity through democracy is stronger than the issues we face. Thank you for your time.
Let's see, next up is Rebecca Wolberg.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Wolberg, and I am currently a senior here at Central Mountain High School. I spoke at the board meeting on February 2nd, and during that speech, I raised some safety concerns. These concerns mostly had to do with backroom incidences, such as fights and drugs. Now it has been a month after I made that speech, and yet more violent instances have occurred. For example, a physical fight that occurred at the beginning of this week in the girls' restroom had horrific consequences. The girl that was beaten was lucky she wasn't killed. If it was not for the teachers that took action to break up the violence, the situation could have ended much differently. The teachers in the Central Mountain High School building are working as hard as they can to monitor the bathrooms and keep everyone safe. Unfortunately, however hard the teachers work, they are still understaffed and cannot keep up. There are several teachers that leave their classes unattended during the period change and even at the beginning of class so that he or she can monitor the restrooms. This is a liability issue to leave the classroom full of students unattended, not to mention the fact it shouldn't even be the teacher's responsibility to watch over the restrooms. The high school needs more security and needs to have police monitor the restrooms during class and during each block change. We also need to hire more guidance counselors and offer more support for mental health. Safety needs to be a higher priority at the school. We cannot afford to sweep all of this violence under the rug. Teachers and principals are doing all they can, but they have a limit as to what they can do. My goal is that we, as a student population, as well as the teachers, principals, and the school board, can all work together to make a change. I ask that each one of the board members take a walk to the high school and speak to the teachers and staff. Please help to make a positive change to our school. Students, teachers, and the community are tired of the violence. As students, we should not have to constantly look over our shoulder and feel unsafe. We need to better this school for the students, for the teachers, and for this community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Pause it for just a moment here, and we will move on to the next item on the agenda. The superintendent's reports. Thank you, everybody, for coming here this evening. We encourage all of you to continue doing that. We'd like to hear this information. We need to hear this information. And we have been moving fast. We will continue to move as fast as we can in regard to school safety. There are a lot of us, a lot of people involved. I hope we can move fast enough. So next up on the list is the superintendent's report.
Thank you. We still have several students who are competing in postseason activities. We wish them well. We know we have some wrestlers down at Hershey, some girls wrestlers continuing their class 2. We have a boys basketball team that's in the first round of the state playoffs. And I'm not sure if our swimmers are still going or if they wrapped up or not, but we'll be able to maybe bring back next month a full list of the accomplishments from the winter season, because all of our students, athletes, have been doing a great job with that. Our Liberty Curtain facility project is moving along. We do have a meeting set tentatively right now for April 11th. We'll send more information about that in the next week as those details are firmed up. I believe that will be at the Liberty Curtain Elementary School, and we'll be sharing where we're at so far with the conceptual design of the project. On Wednesday, Leadership Center County visited our school district, and they received a tour from several of our career and technology students. And they were also treated to lunch with our culinary arts students, and I know that some of those folks are here again tonight, so thank you for being here. Last month I talked about, or I think maybe in January, the Department of Energy announced a 2022 funding opportunity. It was announced in 2022 on energy improvements for public school facilities through the bipartisan infrastructure law, Renew American Schools. In summary, this grant for Keystone Central we would seek to receive up to $15 million in grant funding for a solar project combined with an HVAC replacement at Central Mountain High School. The solar project will be at 3 locations in the district. The total estimated cost of this project will be $17 million, and again, as I said, we'd be seeking to get $15 million to offset that project. And then the potential for the district to save with the solar project an additional up to $22 million in energy expenses across the following 30 years. The district's not obligated to any project at this time, only in the future with board approval. However, like many of the board members and the facility committee will be happy to know that our concept paper was accepted and was encouraged to move forward for the full application. And it's my understanding that there were 6 different school districts in Pennsylvania who put in for this very competitive grant, and only 3 have been asked to move forward. So it's pretty good news on our part. And the name of that project is Promoting STEM Literacy to Rural School Students Through Renewable Energy Technology. So the full application is due in April, and I'll be working again with the engineer from the floor to get all of those application pieces submitted by the deadline. And that is all I have for this evening.
Okay. Under committee reports, I believe the policy committee is the only committee that met since last time. Wayne, do you have an update?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
We met yesterday. We intend to submit approximately 9 new policies at the April meeting for first read. And you notice on tonight's agenda, there are 3 policies on second read to be adopted, become permanent policies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I'd like to move the entire agenda, with the exception of M1 and M2. Does anyone else have anything else they'd like pulled?
Okay. Anybody else? Do you have a second? Okay.
We need to also put M1, because that was not on the agenda for this work session.
M1?
Yes.
So I have M1, M2, and N1. Anything else?
I need to pull G1.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll say that.
Okay. Vote.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Knopf?
Yes.
Mr. Coe?
Yes.
Ms. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Dietrich?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
8 yes votes, motion passes.
This time I'd like to move G1, the taxpayer appeal.
I'll second that. Mr. Knopf?
Yes.
Mr. Coe?
Yes.
Ms. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Dietrich?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
I abstain.
And Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
7 yes votes and 1 abstention, motion passes.
At this time I'd like to move M1, the ACCE contract 2227.
Okay. And just a couple words in regard to that. There will be a press release later this evening, an official press release. In general terms, the teachers union has voted to approve the contract. And that is the reason it's on the agenda for this evening. Other questions, comments? Okay. Second?
I'll say that.
Okay. Vote.
Yeah, I have a comment here. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the personnel committee that got a lot of nights and long time work on this contract, and thank the association for working together and coming up with a contract that's good for everybody.
Mr. Coe?
Yes.
Ms. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Dietrich?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
And Mr. Knopf?
Yes.
8 yes votes, motion passes.
I'd like to move M2, the MOU with PSP Rockview. This is just a formality to have the state police from Rockview come down to Libby Kirk School. Something needed or something happened there.
Mark, this is just for clarification. We have MOUs with all of the law enforcement agencies, and with Rockview, every time someone changes a position there, they send us for an update. So multiple times a year, we end up approving this one because the name change, and it's at their request, but the content never changes.
I'll second that.
Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith, yes. Mr. Dietrich,
Yes?
Mrs. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Knopf,
Yes.
Mr. Coe.
Yes.
8 yes votes, motion passed.
And this time I'd like to move N1, International Student Exchange.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I'll second it.
This was not on last week's work session agenda, and I know that it came forward, it was from Mark earlier this week, and we were asked to consider this. I know in the past, the board has been very supportive of any time we could have a student exchange program because of how much our students learn at the same time while we're hosting someone else. And we asked if you would consider it this evening. It does permit the family who's interested in being the host family to move forward with their preparations in a timely manner. But if you're not comfortable and you want to wait until next month, the delay would really, the result would be that they would be behind the timeline for getting preparations ready.
This is be for next school year, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith, yes. Mr. Dietrich,
Yes?
Mrs. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Knopf,
Yes.
Mr. Coe,
Yes.
Ms. Lynch.
Yes.
8 yes votes, motion passed.
Okay. If nothing else, I'd like to move O1 to German. All right, second?
All right, Paul, here's your chance.
I'll second it.
Okay, all right, 7:42 PM, meeting is adjourned.
Recording.
Yeah. I'll send it, I'll write it.